Let's me introduce my guest, and then let's get to deal with the issues that we have for this morning for you. And my guests this morning are people you've been yearning to listen to. A couple of them have not been on the show for a while. So let me start introducing from my left, and that is Nana Akomia. He is the Managing Director, the State Transport Company, STC, former Director of Communications, the New Patriotic Party. And good morning and welcome to Newsfile.
Good morning, Samson.
Right.
Happy to be with you.
Yes, and I was very excited when people were looking at the things you are beginning to do with STC and began to talk about the fact that, I mean, you ought to be praised. And then you stepped in and you said, look, it's not about me. It's about those who have gone before me and what they have done. I think that's good. We need that for this country. You ask people not to politicize the state institution. Good. Right. And good. We understand you are doing quite some very good job there.
You have to pass through it.
I will.
See some
I've seen the new buses, and I've seen the, the people that you are using to I don't know what to call them, ushers.
Well,
yeah. I hear the treat there is nice these days. Now, now we'll be joined later by the Honorable Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, MP for North Tongue, and he's ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee of Parliament. But here in the studio, right by me, to my right, is Dr. Kojo Pumpuni Asante. He's Senior Research Fellow, Ghana Center for Democratic Development, CDD. Also, Kofi Bentil is a lawyer and policy analyst and Vice President of Imani Africa. Imani, such a thorn in the flesh of governments and opposition. Good morning, gentlemen, and welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Great. Okay, so we're starting on the issue of the toll levy, and you know that the toll levy was resisted. The mandatory toll levy was resisted. There was such a groundswell of opposition to it, and somehow one of the opposition leaders, the Raila Odingas of the toll levy, is here, Kofi Bentil. There's been a new development. Yeah, Osafo-Maafo has said a couple of things. He's a senior minister. Let's hear what he had to say.
We don't have to invent a wheel. Many countries have practiced systems that take care of broken down vehicles. Is it true or false? True. So why can't Ghana learn from good practices elsewhere? So, Madam, in your consultation, let's learn from good practices elsewhere. The little I know, this is a private sector product all over the world. You don't get the government in Germany anywhere getting involved by law on this. I've never come across any. So let us learn from other people and let us learn from good practices elsewhere. I'm happy about what the police have told us, that they will patrol and they will take the necessary steps. We are talking about interim measures. I think we will ask the police to continue, and if they need additional support in the interim, we are going to put in some support for them to get beefed up in terms of material, so that we minimize the carnage arising out of disabled vehicles. We're going to do that as a part of government responsibility. But do a wider consultation and don't invent a wheel.
Kofi, how do you understand the minister?
I understand the minister saying that this is commonsensical. I understand the minister saying that we should not try to make this otherwise regular problem such a huge, convoluted problem that requires government and all kinds of lawmaking and complex arrangements. I hear the minister saying that this is not a problem that is beyond our institutions. I hear the minister saying that we don't need to saddle the country with another tax in order to solve a problem which existing law can solve. I hear the minister apply the common sense approach and try to solve this problem which needlessly created all this fury in this country. And I think this is the way to govern.
Okay. So what have we run away from, and what's the new system?
Then the interesting thing is that it is not such a new system. Our law today says if you leave a vehicle on the road, and this is an old law, and somebody runs into the vehicle, or if you leave a vehicle on the road and create an obstruction, you are liable to a fine of around 3,000 cedis and to a jail term. Now, all we need to do is to maybe amend that law and increase the fine and the jail term. And we have simply refused, neglected to implement that law. I don't know anyone who has gone to jail for leaving their vehicle on the road and causing death. I don't know if people are fined for leaving their vehicles on the road. So we just need to go back. And you know, I repeat this point I make all the time that
welcome to the Honorable Kujeta Blackwell.
Yes, I have read the letter that was sent to Cabinet to back the toll levy. And all they said was, it is difficult for us to collect penalty from people whose vehicles we tow. The District Assembly bylaw allows you to auction the vehicle. It seems to me that our public officials just don't want to do the work. So I hear the minister saying, let's just go and implement our laws. And we've said over and over again that this country, we are good at making laws. And we are just not interested in implementing them. When we have a problem, we set up an institution, make a new law or something, and then we leave it there. So I hear the minister saying that, look, the police should do their work. If they need extra, we will see what we will do. And there's another point. Nobody has claimed that they have called or sought a tow vehicle that they haven't found. There are tow vehicles in this country that can tow any kind of, vehicle. So what is the real problem?
He said elsewhere, everywhere, this is a private sector-led, service. That's what the minister said.
And he's right.
The arrangements that we kicked against with the Road Safety Management Company, the Josbon's subsidiary, is a private arrangement, isn't it?
No, it is not. You see, let me make the point again. When you are making public policy must have public goals at heart. The intention must be to solve a problem within society. It must never be to create a business for somebody. But when you seek to implement public policy, if my brother here is trying to ferry people across the country safely, okay, that is the public policy goal. It will lead to a business opportunity. So somebody can create a business to do that. That is all normal. Where the policy or the law is crafted to create a business, then you have a problem. And that is why he's saying that, look, everywhere in the world, people tow cars. But that thing is not essentially to create a business for somebody. It is to make sure the roads are clear, everything is running fine, people are doing their work, they get to go, they get to come. But that creates business for people. And we all know, we've been to different places. Private people are waiting with their tow vehicles. Indeed, they have been empowered by the district assemblies to do the patrol themselves, and they're happy to do it because they'll make money. If he's on the road and you have parked wrongly or whatever, he clamps your car, he tows it, takes it to his yard, and you have to pay, and he gets paid for it.
In spite of all that, we had the research that was thrown at us that said that abandoned vehicles were responsible for such, a high percentage of road crashes.
And I have disputed that fact.
Yes,
and
you did.
I have strenuously made the point that it is not true. Now, I am going to give you the results of a 2017 study. Okay? And this study is by one Mr. Sethopon, a PhD candidate.
Okay.
All the data is there. All the information is there. You can dispute it however you want.
It says that this does not account for 21% of road crashes.
Collision with vehicles left on the road represents 2.4%. 2.4%. The most frequently reported road traffic accidents include side swipes due to moving in the same or opposite directions, head or rear collision with other vehicles and animals.
You're saying that the 21% that we were told as the basis for the mandatory toll levy was manufactured?
Every research institution I know in Ghana has questioned that. And I'm a research person. Smart people don't argue with facts, they check. So this is not something we should argue about. Bring me the data. I have mine. I insist that collision with parked vehicles don't constitute the major cause of accidents in this country.
Okay.
They are terrible. It shouldn't happen. But we should not elevate that issue to something which we need to deal with. And I've said again that we have real problems in this country. We don't have a working ambulance system in this country. That is something, it's a national policy issue. We must be putting energy behind things like that. Okay, but excuse me, things that are not problems or problems that must be solved as a normal run of governmental functions, okay, we should not elevate them to category 5 hurricanes. We should reserve those energies for real problems. Okay. So this is an issue, but the way the minister is handling it is good. I hope this whole toll everything is put away, so we can really focus on real problems.
All right, thank you. Yes, Doc, what do you say?
Yeah, I was one of the ones
yes,
who,
you were.
who resisted this policy. I think the way we've dealt with our public policy, it's been problematic. Our public policy solutions have been problematic, particularly with the way in which we organize incentives. How do we motivate people to actually comply or create the environment for them to be able to, let the system work? So if we say, okay, if your car breaks down, you call a tow company to come. If the car is still sitting there after 2 days or 3 days, what happens? They rather than pursue, say, for me, which I think has been a problem, the same thing with road traffic regulations, rather than try to take away the person's freedom, attack his economic interest. All those trucks that go, they're taking goods and services.
Right.
So just like they do the mortgage and all of those things, every day it sits there, you should be charging that person. And after the grace period is over, and then the police should come, tow it, and then if you have to go and take it, you pay the penalty.
But that's exactly what our law is.
Yeah, but no, I mean, in terms of the prisons,
is the additional, the LI that was passed, that's brought in, the, as they call the monopoly of this entity doing the.
But I think even just say, okay, we'll just do a fine. I think you should do it daily. I mean, you should say, if your car breaks down, if it's not in a place where it can cause an accident. So if it will cause an accident, the police should just come in.
Right.
If
so there are demarcations. If it's in a residential area, for example, the time limit is longer than it is on a highway.
Sure. So if you have that, I don't think you should have any problem. All the states, so there's a public policy thing. The state is interested in having free flow of traffic. So it's to make sure that we don't have accidents and so on. So the state should invest, making sure the police have tow vehicles, that the district assemblies have tow vehicles, so that on the highways, you know, in every segment, in every district, you know that there's enough tow vehicles to take care of that.
You want the district assemblies rather to get the tow vehicles?
I think it should be
because
both.
What they are doing now, as Kofi tells us, and we know happens, is that they empower private.
They empower private persons. No, I'm saying that I mean, even at the airport, the arrangement that the Ghana Airport Company has with the tow companies that do that, it's an arrangement. So it's a private company that's doing it, and there's a commission that they get for doing it. So you can have those kinds of arrangements, but it ensures that if the person is not able to tow the car within the time period, it's taken off the road to allow for traffic to flow. So I feel that it's an old system, and that old system should stay. It's just that it needs the resources to make it work.
Okay. Well, already there's the political praise bit of it that's coming up, that this government deserves the praise for being a listening government, because it has listened to the people and, as it were, trashed the initial arrangements that people felt was onerous and some said was rather, stupid.
Yes, I wish our listeners a good morning. Also, my colleagues whom I haven't seen in a while, especially Samuel Kujatu.
It's refreshing to have you.
I haven't seen all of this year. And,
too long.
I can see he's looking better now that he doesn't have to work under the stress of the kind of problems that.
That's true.
Now,
He's looking more
Oh,
relaxed.
it's true? I thought it was the other way around.
I'm more relaxed.
Okay.
He doesn't have to do propaganda all the time. He's free from that. But Samson, yes, whatever praise that may come the way of the government at this time is well deserved. Because what is the purpose of government? The purpose of government is to do what is in the best interest of the majority of the people, if not all the people, at all times. That's the purpose of government. And so if there's a perceived problem with this arrangement of a compulsory levy for towing, and the government has responded to those concerns and brought up a system that will generally be seen to be more equitable and fair, and there's praise by the government deserves all of it. I mean, everybody would agree that there's a necessity to have in place a system which will not allow vehicles that break down to be left on the road. It's caused a lot of fatalities.
Which system is already in place because the law is there?
Yes, so that system is in place, but obviously the system has failed. The onus has been on the public institutions to deliver the service, make sure that the vehicles that break down do not remain on the roads. And the law, when you look at it, it talks about who should do it. But the public system has not delivered. District assemblies don't have towing vehicles. The police don't have towing vehicles. So the law is not implemented simply because of whether it's willfulness or lack of capacity. The public system has not delivered the service. So the other thing then to do is to look at how private people may come in. And I think that is, I'm sure that is the basis of having this private person come in and the arrangement for the compulsory towing and all of that. There shouldn't be a problem if opportunity can be created for the private sector to come in and fill in the gap of the failure of the public service to deliver the service. The private sector can come in. It shouldn't be a problem. The problem with this particular one had been the way the private partnership was structured, that levying everybody compulsory to pay for that service by the private sector.
People
Even if the amount was small, the principle of levying everybody was going to be a problem.
Taxis were to pay 40 Ghana cedis. Buses were to pay 80 Ghana cedis. Heavy-duty trucks were to pay between 80 and 200 annually. And Kofi just mentioned motorbikes were also included.
So, but I'm not even worried about that amount of, even if it's 5 cedis, the principle was always going to be problematic. If the private provider is assured of monies, how are they going to perform? So that's a critical problem. If every month monies will be transferred to them automatically, they will not perform.
But there may be something we are not thinking about, because this process that has been jettisoned was consummated in 2012, right? And then, but the implementation was to take place in July 2017. We understand that the company that was involved had already gone to import, you know, the trucks, a good number of them into the country. Do you foresee that we may be looking at some, as we say here, judgment debt?
No, I don't think so. I mean, the company, because of the capacity it has developed, I think I've forgotten the name of the company. One of the Zoom Lion groups.
Yeah, it's Road Safety Management
Limited.
Yes, Limited.
Yes, whether you like it or not, that company has developed the capacity.
So it should take advantage of this situation.
So it can still take advantage, whether it's going to go into partnership with district assemblies or the police and so on. It can still do that. It was the principle of automatic and compulsory paying that was the problem. But that company now has maybe 100 trucks or whatever, so it will give it an advantage in whatever arrangement that you do. So that is clear. But the compulsory levy that has been removed.
The compulsory levy was for an assurance to the business that there will be regular,
my brother Kofi talked about the public policy being aimed to provide a certain service. But you see, public policy too should make it possible for private people to thrive. So if the problem is that the private sector tows a vehicle and the payment then becomes a problem, the public policy should come in with regulations or laws that will make sure that when the private person provides the service, the payment is made. That's where the public can come in with its weight. So the laws should be fashioned, or the regulations should be fashioned in a way that when the vehicle is towed, payments will have to be made in maybe a month or 2 weeks, or the private person should be allowed to take some action to recover. And that's where the public should come in. And once that is done, I'm sure we'll move forward in this particular matter.
Thank you. Yes, Sammy, what do you have to say?
I agree. Well, let me say good morning to you, good morning to the panel, good morning to our distinguished viewers and listeners. I agree with the sentiments around the table.
Are you not supposed to be in family walking? It just occurred to me, yes. I saw quite a good number of former ministers,
this is also important.
You know, coming to Tamale yesterday.
This is also important.
A lot of colleagues are there, but you know, I couldn't have missed this illustrious company.
And I was on a flight with Bagbin back to Accra, and he did something that there was somebody in the queue who commended. We are seeing someone who had been chauffeured right to the tarmac, and he joined the queue and joined with us to you know get into the plane, and he sat ordinarily.
Yeah, I mean, Bagbin is a great guy, no doubt. So I agree generally that this is a victory for the people, and the government ought to be commended for listening to the cries of the people, and this should motivate citizens that when the anger is sufficient, when our voices are loud enough, we can get the results. And I think that is a lesson that should be taken out of this whole episode. But fundamental issues remain that we need to address. Fundamental issues about public policy implementation. A law was passed in 2012. A 5-year fallow period was given. Within the 5 years, what did we all do? It will appear that we went to bed, the stakeholder consultations, you know, bringing in the views of experts, learning from other jurisdictions. All of those things didn't happen.
Apparently, it happened. Apparently, a new set of stakeholder consultations changed what had happened earlier.
Interesting. But you know, I have been quite active in the public space. I don't recall seeing any notice, or I'm a member of parliament as well, you know, during the period, invitations. And I remember serving on the Roads and Transport Committee. I don't recall that there was any...
That is part of the problem. I don't mean to cut you, but there's a whole list of documents supposedly recording stakeholder consultations.
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to.
So it's interesting that he's saying what he's saying, because there's a lot to say there, but I'll leave it there.
So
because in that document, almost all the critical, you know, groups, as far as this story is concerned, were involved. They were consulted. But the new minister also says he did stakeholder consultations, which reversed the old situation.
So then you ask, what was the nature of the stakeholder consultation? Who were those stakeholders? How open and deep?
What was the record? What were the reports?
And expansive was it? You know, where are the records for all of us? So that's one, public policy formulation and implementation, how we take off. Then the second fundamental issue really has to do with the public system, DVLA. Vehicle registration. We should not be seeing the number of breakdown vehicles that we see in this country. How do we get to license these vehicles and these trucks? And when they break down, you see them. They have roadworthy certificates that have not expired. How did we get there? And then there's also, so you listen to the towing companies, and they don't have confidence in the assemblies and the police to be responsive and to bring them on board for the new arrangement, the arrangement which allows for you to pay when your vehicle has been towed. They don't seem to have that confidence. So again, public service delivery. How do we ensure that public services in this country really come up? is up to scratch and that it does what it is supposed to do. I believe that if we fix the DVLA, you know, at the foundation of this, we will at least cut down, you know, quite significantly the number of vehicles, because we see it every day. And the vehicles you drive behind, you know, the smoke emission levels, and you wonder how these vehicles get, you know, passed through the system. The kind of trotros that we see, you know, that are allowed to function, and when they are stopped, we all know what is the interest of police officers who stop these drivers. So it's another reminder that we need to fix the public service system. But let us spare a thought for the towing company operators. I will opt for an insurance arrangement, you know, for example, where, because we know that per the laws of Ghana, all vehicles must be insured. Can there be an arrangement with the insurance companies, because the towing companies are concerned that they don't really get their monies back when they have towed these vehicles. Right. But if there is a partnership with the insurance companies and your vehicle is towed, the insurance company is notified. Remember that as for insurance, they always keep the money. They collect the monies upfront. The towing companies can then have a percentage of that. So this is really workable. I agree with Kofi that this is not rocket science, it's no complex matter. Very simple, straightforward issue. We just have to be committed to keeping it simple, and sometimes to just watch the profit interest. I think that sometimes Ghanaian businesses, we want to really rake in too quickly and too bigly, if I will borrow Donald Trump's expression. You know, so let's look at other jurisdictions. As the senior minister has said, this has been done elsewhere for many decades, if not centuries, and we can let it happen. But it's victory for citizen participation in our democratic process. Is victory for all of those civil society organizations who were vocal, especially Kojo, Kofi, and it shows that if we take up other issues with this same level of energy and unity, and on this matter, I think that there was a certain agreement across the divide. Right. It didn't take the usual partisan, you know, undertones and all of that. And that is how come we have managed to secure this victory in good time. But let's get back to work and let's fix the system, because I agree with Kofi that the statistics might not be 20%. 20% really is huge. I don't think so. But even if it is 1%, we know that one human life is still, you know, one too many. Nobody deserves to die in such needless accidents. And we've lost many prominent Ghanaians out of that. And ordinary Ghanaians as well. And every life is valuable and important. So let's get back to work and agree to an arrangement which will be satisfactory to all sides.
Right. I'm a little curious, though, that the law about this was passed in 2012?
2012, yeah.
So in the four years of government up to 2017, what was happening? You were in government. I don't know if.
Yeah, that's why I'm curious too. I think it's only the private operator who stood to benefit, who was busily importing trucks and making sure that, you know, he was ready. But the other key partners, the DVLA, the Road Safety Commission, the Transport Ministry, I think that we should have been more engaging with the stakeholder consultations. We would have been able to avert all of these concerns that were raised.
Can I get a minute?
A minute, do. What I was actually planning is that, okay, so we've done some 30 minutes of discussion so far. I was hoping, because we have the biggest issue, which would be the free SHS issue, so that if we could quickly, you know, briefly also touch on the issue of the CID's invitation to over the fumigation and waste bin contracts. But do some 30 seconds.
Something is missing in all this discussion regarding road safety. And what is missing is the duty of care that municipalities and governments owe to citizens to keep roads safe. There is a lot of case law behind this. And I'm saying this for the information of the public. If you have an accident which is due to the fact that the road was not good, or there were no markings on the road, or a vehicle has been left on the road, please sue the government and the District Assembly. Look, in housing and Nicolaisen, there's a statement there which I'm just going to read and stop. It says, the extent of the statutory obligation placed upon municipal corporations to help to keep in repair the highways under their jurisdiction has been variously stated in numerous reported cases. A general rule has been gathered from the decisions, and that is, the road must be kept in such a reasonable state of repair that those requiring to use it may exercise ordinary care. Exercising ordinary care may travel upon it with safety. Number 2, a municipality's duty of care with respect to the design and maintenance of roads is limited to ensuring that the roads can be driven safely by ordinary drivers exercising reasonable care. I'm rushing over it, but the point is clear. And I'm saying that this is very well established in law. So please, if by the negligence of the district assembly, the road is not marked, a hole is left in the middle of the road, or something that should have been done is not done, and you end up in an accident, please try them in court.
Okay. That's interesting, but I think there's one case already going on in respect of something like that by a lady lawyer. I think she sued the Lejekuku Krowa Municipal Assembly or so. Let's see how all of these things go. But sometimes people believe that you don't get results suing assemblies over roads.
We should try.
They would pass on the ultimate responsibility to the central government, who is supposed to do things that have not been done. Well,